I like pretty much anything single player, so much so that it would be quicker to list the genres that I don't like: visual novel, roguelike, souls-like, and real-time strategy. That last one is what I want to focus on today. The main reason I don't like real-time strategy is the stress of parallel processing every unit I have, the skill of keeping track of so many moving parts, as well as the creeping fear that my opponent is doing the exact same thing, but probably more efficiently. That makes my spine tingle. I can handle tough boss fights because I only need to keep track of the boss's movements. I can use hyperfocus and reaction just fine, but real-time strategy games ask the polar opposite of me, and that's why I struggle with them. But Pikmin is an exception to that rule, and I'd like to examine why this entire genre is unappealing to me, but I just can't resist the allure of Pikmin. The first and most apparent is the tone. Most RTS games are pretty serious and have militaristic and grungy looks to them, and it's pretty clear why. These are complex games with a lot of moving parts, or in other words, not for kids. They all rely on drawing new players in with the allure of waging intense and intricate wars for adults, whilst Pikmin is the only one that advertises itself as a beginner-friendly real-time strategy game, one where it will teach you the basic mechanics and ideas behind the game. It's something Nintendo is fantastic at. If you want to learn 2D or 3D platforming, you can't go wrong with Mario. Want to learn racing games but aren't ready for the likes of Gran Turismo? Here's Mario Kart. Fighting games aren't your thing but you're excited to learn? Smash Bros is right over here. And Pikmin follows the exact same mentality. It's approachable in a genre where everything else revels in complexity. But ease of access isn't the only reason Pikmin is so appealing. All those examples I listed before aren't just the most accessible in their genre, they're also some of the pinnacles. Due to my lack of extended experience with multiple real-time strategy games, I can't definitively declare Pikmin the best RTS game of all time. In the same way, I can 100% declare Zelda to be the greatest action-adventure franchise of all time. I can, however, tell you what I like about the gameplay of Pikmin that sets it apart from the rest of the genre. Firstly, it removes all the ambiguity from the gameplay and lets me make sound and strategic decisions. When I play a game like StarCraft, I get incredibly nervous, wondering what my opponent or the enemy AI is up to. I can't plan around my opponent's strategy if I don't know what they're doing. Most players will have an outer defense on the edge of their base to prevent any scouting drones I send, and even if they don't, depending on what I find, I may have to switch strategies entirely before I'm overwhelmed. Pikmin communicates what the consequences of my actions are going to be and what I'll have to sacrifice to achieve that goal, and it doesn't do this through menus as Fire Emblem does. By having your character be another unit on the map instead of an isometric camera floating in the sky, the player gets a better feel for the terrain and layout of each arena. You know what path your units will take because you yourself have just taken it. This makes planning the length of the journey as well as calculating the threats you'll need to clear on the way a cinch because you, the player, are on the same level as your units. This also makes it more effective when an entire squad gets taken out, because you don't play the role of an uncaring god hoisted above the field, but another soldier on the field commanding your units alongside you. Instead of your field of vision being blacked out because you have no friendly units in the region, you simply instead have to look at the direction ahead of you to plan your next move. The next reason I prefer Pikmin is going to rustle some feathers, but I just want you to hear me out on this one. The fact that it's a console exclusive. Let's consider all the most popular real-time strategy games: RimWorld, StarCraft, Steel Division. All these games are PC exclusives, and for good reason. There's no way to translate these games effectively to console, and as I said before, they're relatively inaccessible. They're hugely expansive games with customization and variety unrivaled by any game in any other genre, and it's only on a platform with such limitless energy as PC that these games could ever exist. Designing an RTS game from the ground up for console, it forces the developer to limit the scope of the game to something manageable. It requires a simplistic but effective design. This is what makes Pikmin a more impressive game to me than any of the aforementioned. While it's certainly a lesser game in terms of scope and variety, the fact that those games can be translated in any form to console while still maintaining the essence of their design is incredible to me. The final reason isn't as crucial to my argument, but I'll discuss it anyway. Where other games use real-time strategy as a means to wage war, Pikmin uses it in an absurd, adorable, and unique way. The presentation of Pikmin is like no other. Kooky character designs, Cronenbergian monsters, and ultra-realistic treasures give Pikmin an art style like nothing else. Pikmin is an anomaly to me, with completely insane art and gameplay that manages to somehow reach me when its entire genre fails to. Maybe it's the absurd visual presentation that clashes with the simplicity that makes it so appealing, or maybe it's the context in which I'm commanding these creatures, but Pikmin stands as the only RTS game that I truly connect with.